Good evening, everyone, and thank you. And thank you for joining a General Purpose Committee meeting this evening. It's 7 o'clock, and we are starting our meeting. I will go through the agenda. So apologies for absence. Sean?
We've received apologies from Councillor Kingston.
Thank you. Any other apologies? No. Is there any urgent matter? I haven't been notified. No. Thank you. Matter to be considered in private? No. Declaration of any interest? Thank you. Can we just go to approve the minute from the last meeting? Because I was not here, so yeah.
Yes, they were agreed by me and
Yeah, agreed.
Thank you. It's been agreed. Tonight I've got Sean on the right-hand side, and he is minuting, and he will be the clerk of this meeting. We have got Ross Jackson here, head of elections, with his colleague Mark Howlett, and thank you for coming. And we have got Emily Hill is on the line participating this meeting. So thank you very much for all of you. Just wanted to update the committee. The council is required to undertake a full review of all polling stations at least once every 5 years. And the last review took place in 2022, and that's the reason we are here to review all the polling stations again. So without any further delay, can I invite Ross Jackson to put the proposal, please?
Evening, everybody. Yes, as Councillor Mahmood has said, we're regularly required, both the council and returning officer, to review all our polling scheme arrangements on a regular basis. And obviously that includes polling places, polling districts within the wards that are set, that were set back in 2021, 22, I believe now. So since March, the return officer has undertaken a full review of all 134 stations, so fixed stations, temporary stations, looked at the polling district boundaries, looked at the suitability of those stations. So as in the report, I won't go on and on and on, it is in the report, but we look for access issues, are they available, cost, although not so much, but just their suitability across the piece. And so we're arriving at this committee not to make any decisions, but to share with you the returning officer's preliminary recommendations following that review, to, if approved, to go through to public consultation from this committee. We will then come back to formally review the outcomes of that consultation, which will include political representatives across the piece, councillors, MPs, parties, obviously the public, various groups, disability groups, electoral commission. It will go out and obviously to the public. And there will be comments that we will bring back to this board, and then there may be other recommendations that we may arrive at, or suggestions that we'll bring back to this committee in November. So really we are seeking the committee's approval to go out with these recommendations, and it'll be a 4-week consultation where we have found there are 9 changes, I believe, in all that we are recommending. 8 are the alternatives to the temporary stations. We've got 9 temporary stations in all at the moment. 1 that's at Wesley Playing Field. We can't do anything about that. There isn't anything suitable nearby at the moment. We'll keep it under review. So we're not proposing that changes, but the remaining 8 temporary stations, we believe that we have selected suitable fixed alternatives to replace those. And in a few cases, we are recommending either merging existing polling districts or slightly redrawing some of the polling district lines to accommodate that, which I'll come on to when we go through, if that's okay, Chair, when we go through each recommendation. I think just as background to these, it's not the first time people in here in relation to these Portakabins, and fortunately or unfortunately, I've been at Ealing for nearly 25 years now, and we used to have up to 17 or 18, as I recall, at one stage. And over time, when I first came to Ealing, there were wooden steps going into them. We had gas bottles outside, and slowly we've obviously made them not fit for purpose, but we've managed to get the minimum DDA requirements out of them, so they're safe over time. But I think we've gotten to a stage now where we can do no more. Corporate health and safety do not approve of them. There are a number of risks identified with them, both to the public and to the staff that use them. And in combination with new requirements put upon us from the Elections Act, such as voter ID, additional accessibility requirements such as more space for blind, a dedicated area for the blind, privacy screens for people to remove headdresses where appropriate, suitable seating. With it. These things, just we're struggling now to be able to deliver them properly, and there are concerns, which I won't go into all of them unless you'd like me to, or unless you'd like to pick up on any particular concerns, but it's across the piece. We're even having difficulty now in actually getting them to the sites down roads, and maybe it's to do with people working from home, but we're finding it's extremely difficult. They're having go-arounds, or they come back the next day to deliver them. We traditionally hook them up to, we used to hook them up to pay and display machines to get the power. A lot of those have disappeared, or almost all of them have gone. So we're hooking up to lampposts. The amount of work that goes into these things that you don't see is a lot. Tree pruning. We've got to liaise with electrical and overhead contractors when we're positioning these things. We could come back one year and find there's 16 trees being planted on the grassy verge where they're supposed to be, or there's a planning permission for a telephone mast. So I think we've done extremely well to cope to this point in delivering these things safely. I have to say we haven't had any serious incidents with them, but that's only because of the multitude of mitigating actions we've been throwing at them. And I think we've come to a point now whereby, and I hope you agree, if we can find suitable fixed alternatives to replace them, then we should really be proactive in doing so. And of course, all under the umbrella of this, when we're not agreeing anything today, making any decisions today, but in the future, everything's under review. So it's constantly under review, and we can monitor and change as we go. But for the interim, at this point in time, there's a number of recommendations in this report. So I don't know whether you'd like to, anybody's got any questions on the background of the temporary huts, or if I was going to propose we just go through each recommendation.
Any question in terms of introduction of temporary polling stations? No. Carry on, Johnson. Oh, sorry. Kosadir.
The returning officer is planning to make changes. I think it's a good idea. We are looking for equality issues and disability, other issues also. I think it's a good idea to make changes to have permanent polling stations rather than Portakabins. I have seen those Portakabins in my lifetime. Really, while I was raising my children. Because I've worked throughout my life with the communities, So we, at that time, you're right, Ross, to say that at that time there was no concept of considering any disability or equal opportunity policies. Even elderly people with their walking sticks, they used to step the wooden steps to for the polling station to cast their vote. I think it's a good idea to have a proper polling stations. I think the question is, secondly, I think the returning officers mentioned that we are focusing on to save some money also because the porta cabin polling stations are too expensive than proper buildings. Yeah, yeah, I agree with you. I like this.
Thank you. I think on the cost, so it's not the driver. The driver is the fact that we just don't think we can continue. Something's, I'm not going to say something's going to happen, but we can't guarantee the safety of these things or their delivery or their everything to do with them. We're getting to a point where we're struggling. They've been held up with sticky tape for a while, and I think on the cost issue, though, it is very relevant, and that's why it was included in the report. That also on top of that, they are ever so more expensive. Yeah, I think you're comparing £2 a vote, £2.99 a vote with £23 a vote. I mean, that's it's you know, it's relevant.
Yes, Kausadi.
I had the question actually, which I didn't raise. I'm sorry. You in this report, in my ward, Greenford Broadway, the Mansell Road at the education center, and you are closing that. We are not considering to have that polling station. It will be in the library on the yeah.
Sorry to interrupt that, but he's got full presentation and reasons word by word. No, so I would like you to go word by word. So
Yeah.
Aswadir will have a question
Oh,
when the
that's
Greenford
fine.
Broadway will come. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so it's Appendix B, I believe, in the report, page 16. So the first proposal is to replace the temporary polling place. This is North Acton, Midland Terrace, with Nash House on Old Oak Lane. So the map is attached with the proposal. Hopefully that's clear, where it shows, my paper copy hasn't got colours, but I'm hoping one of them is red and one of them is green, so that the red one indicates the current existing polling place, which is temporary, and the red ballot box is where Nash House is in that polling district. So from our standpoint, Nash House is more centrally located, we think, in BQ than the existing temporary. It's also a prominent building in the area. It's got excellent polling place facilities, and it's also got the added advantage that there's students, high level of students in terms of accommodation, and they have breakout rooms in there, and they're really keen to have us in there as well. Mark and I visited. There is a bus stop directly outside. There was a concern raised in relation to a number of planned regeneration works going on there in the next year or so, HS2 and other regen works. But I'm working with those teams and with HS2 partners to ensure that on the 7th of May, all the polling stations, not just Nash House, will be accessible, so there won't be significant disruption to electors going to not just Nash House but the other stations in North Acton, and they're on board, and so they're assuring me that that will be factored into their planning to ensure that electors aren't hindered in going to those stations on the 7th of May.
Any question about North Acton? Councillor York?
Thank you, Chair. Just to clarify, Ross, is Nash House student accommodation? I don't know the buildings.
It's mixed accom.
It's primarily student accommodation, but it is mixed at the moment. There's some of the contractors working on HS2 are staying there as well, which would also be electors.
Councillor Young?
I believe I'm right in saying that BP is the one ward with which we'll be retaining the temporary polling station. I presume you have looked at combining BP and BQ. What are the reasons why you're not having just one polling station and Nash House for both?
Yes, Councillor, we did actually, when we were doing the preliminary recommendations, that was penciled in as a possible to recommend to effectively merge BP and BQ for them all to go to Nash House, but it was just thought that the distances for BP to travel to BQ were not reasonable in relation to a significant number of properties in BP. We thought that was a bit. For BQ, unfortunately, there is nothing. It's very industrial.
Councillor Young, could you turn on the mic?
Sorry.
I think I would be happy to do that if this committee agreed to do that.
It's just that the
could
polling
put-
station in BP would be the one remaining temporary polling station.
On Wesley Place.
It is in the periphery of BP, so the journey times from because part of BP I think is south of the A40, but
Yeah.
the journey times to Nash House and to the temporary polling station would not be very different.
As I say, we did initially put that as a recommendation, exactly that, Councillor, to merge BP and BQ, but we weighed on not doing so because we thought there would be some pushback in terms of the distances that electors would have to travel. There are I mean, it's what you say, 'cause an extra 5 minutes, is that significant?
But what I'm saying is I'm not sure there is an extra 5 minutes because the existing polling station is at the periphery of the ward,
Yeah, I mean,
whereas Nash House is no further away from the furthest distance.
it's actually shown on the map here.
Yes.
It's in the north. It's that black ballot box
Yes.
there. Yeah, I'm more than happy if the committee wants to consider putting that in as an also.
I'd like to make that proposition if possible, Chair.
You are putting proposition to.
I'd like to.
Okay, Councillor Shaw, before we consider your proposition, Councillor Shaw.
Yeah, thanks, Chair. I mean, obviously, this, the decision that the committee is making tonight is just for it to go to consultation. It does, to be honest, to my mind, I actually have a different view to Councillor Young here. Yeah, of course. I have no problems with it going to consultation, but I do believe that this is, for the residents there in BP, this is quite a very large geographical area. Actually, we're looking at it on a map, but I do know the area quite well. And there are some sort of significant barriers just in terms of main roads and so on, for people that might make it inconvenient. However, I am happy for it to go to consultation and come back. I'm not saying that my mind may be changed by consultation, but.
Yeah, thank you, Councillor Shaw. All right, any other contribution? No, okay, it's been noted and we will get back on North Acton. Thank you. Carry on. Sorry, yeah, as Councillor Shaw suggested, we will go for consultation. Is it right, Councillor Shaw? Is that what you're suggesting?
Yes, it can go out for consultation and let's see what feedback we get from residents who will be affected by it and take the decision from there.
Are we agreed on that? Thank you. Jackson.
Okay, so the next recommendation concerns Ealing Common. So this is the temporary on Lilac Gardens. We are proposing that this is replaced with the Assyrian Society, so the Assyrian Hall. Now it's also the existing polling place for VS, and it's also being later on in this in these recommendations. It's also being recommended to service VR, but it's large enough to do so. It can take 3 polling stations in there. We would apply additional staff and measures to ensure that there's no confusion, there's no queues and whatnot. Interestingly, for those that remember, with the 2021 GLA elections, when we had COVID restrictions, this was deployed then for that election. We sent the voters for this station to the Assyrian in ES, and there were no issues at all. And in fact, turnout was not affected at all by it. So there is precedent there that we've done that and it worked. Didn't receive a single complaint. The only snag is, of course, it's not within Ealing Common Ward because you're creeping into it, but that's not a problem because it's just a hop, skip, and a jump over the line. So again, it's not ideal. I would prefer it to be in the ward. We did look at possibly sending them to ET, which is the Polygon, but after further investigation into that, it's not straightforward access, even though it's closer from ES to the Polygon. So the Assyrian was the best fixed alternative nearby. So yeah.
Any question on Ealing Common? Yeah, can I just reiterate what you said? I know that location very well. An Assyrian Community Center on 1 Temple Road is very prominent location and it's very accessible. And I think all the facilities are there than temporary porter cabin. So that's all right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And the key holder is fabulous, by the way, as well. So they love us being there, and they're excellent. And yeah, they really help us out well, don't they? So yeah.
Thank you, Ross.
So next recommendation is page 20. The ward is North Greenford, and so this is to replace the temporary polling place on Witton Avenue East. To Sudbury Golf Club, which is within the polling district. Yes, it's not central. It's more towards the southern end, southeastern end of IR. However, you know, another really excellent location. They're keen at the golf club. It's got a big car park. They're saying everybody can use the car park. They're keen to have us there. And this is slightly different than this one. It's not just let's try and find an alternative to the temporary hut. The current location where it's actually positioned, the temporary hut, we can't use that location. As I mentioned earlier, this is another case where trees have been planted, and also there is planning permission in for a radio base station to be put on there. So it would be out. We wouldn't be able to use it anyway. Certainly that location for the temporary. So yeah.
Any question on North Greenford proposal? No. Thank you. It's not far from existing location on the same road, the 20-30 meters away from the existing pre-location. So
Indeed.
I don't see any much problem on that. Thank you, Ross.
Okay. Okay, so the next page 22, this is concerns Perivale. So as hopefully the map is clear to all, currently for JQ, the current polling district boundary line, which is indicated, I think on yours by a yellow line with dots. On mine, I don't have the colour. And JR, which is currently served by St Nicholas Church Hall. So we looked at this one extensively because initially we were obviously looking to replace the temporary, and initially thought, well, we can replace the temporary and stick with St Nicholas Church, feasibly, Church Hall, because it could accommodate that and merge the stations. But there would be an issue because, and councillors here will know more than me for that ward, there is an issue with the school streets connected with the primary school, and it can cause problems around there getting around and whatnot. And so for that reason, it wouldn't be a suitable alternative. But what would be suitable, and what we're proposing, is to merge JQ and JR. But instead of St Nicholas, we would propose that Perivale Primary School is used. It would be closed for the day. The school streets, therefore, we will arrange to have them suspended for the day. Quickly on suspensions, we hood the signs. We've got a lot of these around the borough, and they're increasing where we've got polling stations and we're using schools. The cameras are turned off, and the signs are hooded. So look, it's prominent, it's in the middle of, it would therefore be in the middle of the polling district. Obviously excellent facilities because it's a school, people know where it is, and it's got the capacity, of course. So that is our recommendation, that we merge the polling districts. We would lose St Nicholas Church Hall and lose the temporary polling place, and in place of that we would use Perivale Primary School.
Thank you, Ross. Any question about Perivale? I've got a question. It's very understandable. Yeah. The two things here. One is right. Perivale Primary School is the center of the ward, like you said, and we are merging two polling station in there. But as you know, that road called Federal Road, and that's no entry. So there is no entry from the Bilton Road. That's the one thing. Second thing is, like you rightly said, this is the part of the school street closure. So, and thank you so much. You said the cameras will be turned off on the whole day. But how the voters and local residents will come to know that they can go there to cast the vote anytime?
So it's not the first time we've obviously, since the school streets have been around for a few elections now. So what we currently do is we hood the signs. The signs are hooded. So the signs that say its operation are hooded, and we do some comms through the comms team in relation to where that's in effect. In terms of literature or correspondence to electors directly, we don't do anything along those lines. Yeah, so it's comms and hooding the signs. I think the problem with sending correspondence out, which would automatically, well, let's send a letter out to everybody and say, okay, this is the point, you know, school street's closed for the day and the cameras won't work. We could do that, but that sets a precedent really, because we'd have to do that for all the others, and then there would be a cost element to it, because we're looking at I think what we're looking at 3,500 electors. So you're probably looking for that mail out a couple of £1,000. And if we've got this going on, you know, in 12 other areas of the borough, it's suddenly so. Yeah, certainly communications. We could work with the comms team to ramp that up. Could we do something? I'm just thinking off the top of my head, could we do something in addition to hooding the signs and put a temporary sign up that actually says, you know, these cameras have been turned off 7th of May? I don't. I'd need to liaise with highways on how feasible that would be, or whether we're even allowed to do that. I'm not sure.
Thank you, Russell. I'll come back to you on
Yeah.
that. I will come back to you on the Councillor Shah.
Yes, thanks. I was just wondering about the polling cards that go out beforehand. Obviously, they usually have a small map on them, but would it be possible? I think the concern here is there are two sort of quite established and used polling places for residents in the area who have voted there for a long time. So if something was indicated on the polling card very clearly, new polling place, Perryvale Primary School, for example, just in capitals or whatever, just to help signpost people. And of course, if there are no objections in the consultation, of course, and then of course, if the comms team could do what they will do anyway, and perhaps use the mailing lists. I know the council has quite big sort of news mailing lists, just with lists of polling places for people to be able to refer to them. Then that would be a relatively low cost way of and high impact of getting that message out to as many residents as possible.
Thank you. Well, yeah, can I just add on what Councillor Choi is saying? So we need to more emphasize the polling stations, the polling card. It should be mentioned clearly on polling card. And can I just suggest wherever the photo cabin used to be there, because that's the mindset. People will be going there to use everywhere for temporary polling station for last 15 years or 20 years. So if they might turn up, there should be a big sign there and telling the voters that the station has been removed, and the full information would be there physically on board or notice board, or you should go from point X to Y, clearly mention that the new polling station would be there with arrow. That sort of things might be prevented to things happening here. Sorry.
Yeah, I think absolutely. I think just back on the polling cards, we do that, Kerry. We'll say new very clearly as a new polling station. And I think we have done, not always, but we have done what you suggest, and I'm very happy to do that. So we can put some kind of signage both at old fixed stations and where the temporaries were. We can add a map to it with an arrow as well to say this is where your new polling station is. But on the school streets, which was the initial question on how do they know and how do we communicate that will not solve that. So I think on that front, obviously we will hood them and we'll do extra comms. I'm not sure it's appropriate to put on an official polling card that the cameras will be turned off, because it's very prescribed wording. There's not a lot of room on it either. The key messages we've got to get out about deadlines for postal votes and things like that. I'm a little uncomfortable putting further information such as, the school streets cameras will be turned off, but we can consider, I can come back on that if that's something that we could possibly look into, but yeah.
Thank you, Rose. Councillor Young.
Yeah, that's got it to work. Yes, I was also going to suggest the polling cards. But the other thing you could do is in the hoods. Could you not put a sign together with the hood saying suspended for the election?
I think I would like to do. I think that would be. We haven't done that before. We've just hooded them, but I'm not sure what the rules are surrounding highways do seem to have, we've got to do traffic orders and things for certain things. Whether they would permit that, I could ask them that we could do that on the hoods and
They're
say,
not terribly good at traffic orders in that area. I've had a constituent who challenged a penalty and was found to be correct, and the traffic order wasn't properly made.
I think I can certainly say, look, if highways don't have any objections, we can do that.
Thank you. It's been noted. Thank you, Councillor Young. Councillor Baines, please.
I was just going to say on communications, would we obviously look towards communicating different languages, can reach everyone? Structure.
Yes, Ross.
I can speak to the comms team in relation to that. A lot of the prescribed stuff, so polling cards, I think they are in English because they're prescribed to be in that. But certainly get what the councillor is, and I can liaise with comms to see what ideas they have on that front. Yeah.
One. Thank you. You know that was why we are concerned about that. We are just worried about we are persuading people to vote and participate in elections. So we need to make sure they have good right access and easy access to go to the polling station. That's the whole idea. That's why we are sharing our concern. Thank you, Ross. So if there is no other question for Perryville, we can move on.
Okay, page 24, we have Central Greenford. So this proposal involves a slight tweaking of the existing boundary between MT and MR. So the temporary polling place on the map, currently showing as red ballot box, hopefully. We are proposing that that is replaced with Greenford Scouse Hut on Hill Rise, which is indicated by the green box. Now, the yellow line, the dots, is indicating the existing boundary between MT and MR. So our proposal is both to agree to go to consultation, the proposal to use the Greenford Scouse Hut, and also to amend the boundary line for MT as shown for a number of reasons. MT is very small at the moment, 617. That will balance out MT and MR electorates. And also, I think if I lived on Hill Rise and saw that polling station there and somebody said, well, that's not yours, I've got to go all the way down to this other one at the bottom, I don't think we'll get some complaints. So I think it would make sense to draw a line round that polling station. So amend that polling district line.
Thank you, Rose. Any question about Greenford? Yes, of course, that's your vote. Yeah.
Yeah. If weather is really rainy or windy on the election day, it's very difficult to persuade people to go to the polling station. Having that distance really from the polling station, I think people will be reluctant to go to the polling station. They might not have postal vote, but really they might not go that far away. That is just a
Thank you, Councillor Ross.
Sorry, guys, it's just so you're concerned the existing electors in MT having to travel the extra distance to the Scouse Hut there.
So MR, was there any polling station with the black?
No, so the black is that we're not doing anything with the MR polling station. That remains the same. It's the MT polling station, which is the red ballot box in MT. We're proposing that moves, I think it's about, according to the map, it's about 600-700 meters north
Yeah,
to where the green box is, which is the Scout hut.
yeah. So where is the polling station for MR?
Ours under the F of Greenford.
Oh, that is under Greenford. Right.
It's not.
No, that's what I'm talking about, Central Greenford, yeah.
So sorry, so what's your question? Could you repeat?
Question is the same, really, about the distance for the resident.
You'd be reducing the distance for most of the people.
Probably.
Who are in the rise itself.
Councillor Young, that's the question asked from, yes, Councillor Deer, please carry on.
Ross, I may be talking about something else. Are we talking about MR and MT?
Primarily, we're talking about MT.
Just MT?
Yes, but it impacts MR because I'm proposing to redraw the MT boundary line into some of MR to accommodate this new proposal for MT. Am I making sense? So currently we're talking about MT.
Yeah.
And the polling station that currently serves MT is on Jamer Drive. It's a temporary polling place. And so what I'm proposing is, or we are proposing is, instead of using the Jamer Drive porter cabin, instead we use the fixed building of the Greenford Scout hut, which is approximately 600-700 meters north of where that is. I'm not sure that it impacts the residents that much, not too great a distance, and there's no barriers for them to get there. I think possibly the confusion here is that I'm also proposing, in order to accommodate this new proposed station, that we slightly amend the boundary line between MT and MR. So where it does concern MR, we're not proposing anything to do anything with the MR polling station as it is, but it would make sense, wouldn't it, to move that boundary out to the east a bit to incorporate the Scout hut, and it'll also level up the electorate for MT and MR. And I'll just use the example: if you were to live nearby that Scout hut, if we left the line as it is, which we could do, we could leave the polling district line exactly as it is and just approve the change of polling place. I think we may get some pushback from people who live near that Scout hut saying, you know, why can't I go in there rather than have to walk all the way, which they currently have to do, down to the station at the bottom there.
Yeah, that's fine. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Deer. Councillor Shah?
Yes, thank you, Chair. I think Ross has answered and elaborated on what I was going to say. To be honest, for me, this tidies it up with the move of the polling station, and it makes sense. So thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Shah. And as far as I know, the location, Jamer Drive, is always not very accessible in terms of car access, and this is a very much on cul-de-sac type of road, and so I think that probably the Scout hut is better location. Thank you for your contribution. Yes, sir.
Okay, so page 26, the proposal is, so you have to bear with me on this one because it's a little confusing. So the ward's Greenford Broadway, and the current polling station for NQ is Melrose Avenue. What we are proposing is to replace the porter cabin with Greenford Tennis Club. So if you look at the map, we are proposing we lose the red box on the map, which is the temporary station. Instead, we move to the tennis club. Now, the tennis club is really keen. I don't know whether people know the area. It is slightly hidden. There's a walkway to get to it, but it is lit. We would be putting additional signage because there's 2 entrances to the said footpath to access the tennis club, but there's no obstacles. In terms of the building itself, it's great. The people who run the club are really keen to have it as a polling station because it'll highlight them in that area. So on a voting perspective, it's great. In order to, again, similar to the last one, in order to make to tidy it up, we are proposing to drop the boundary, amend the polling district line, which is shown as the dotted line. That's the existing, to incorporate some of NS. So effectively expand the size of NQ to take in some of NS, which will centralise the tennis club as the polling station for the polling district of NQ.
Right. Thank you, Ross. Councillor Young.
Well, it's certainly an improvement from when I started, because it used to be this polling district that had somebody's front room as the place where they polled. Yeah, literally somebody's front room. Trouble is, if it started to rain, you got rather wet outside. But I represented this ward when I started. My wife grew up in this ward, and the first time we'd heard of the tennis club was when the mayor announced that he was having a quiz there later this month. And for all those years, neither of us knew where the tennis club was. So it can't be well signed at all. And I wonder whether we need to give a bit more consideration to that.
Thank you, Councillor Young. Ross, please.
Yeah, we've identified that. It's as I say, it's down a wide public footpath that's lit with street lights, and there's 2 entrances to it. It can be accessed at either end of the footpath. On one side has better signage. It says Greenford Tennis Club this way. The other side doesn't have a sign at all. So what we would propose is we would be putting significant amount of signage, so white billboards with polling station and the arrow at each end towards the tennis club, and the lighting we believe is sufficient. We've been there in the evening. It's well lit, so the lighting isn't an issue, which sometimes it can be when you're going footpaths. We've also, thanks Mark for reminding, we're also going to propose that we have a security guard station there as well, in a fluorescent jacket, who will hopefully, because obviously you're going down a footpath, it's not dark and dingy, it's just that added perception that it's fine.
Yeah, go on, Councillor Young, please.
To ask, matter of fact, where do the 2 ends of the footpath end up?
It will be on the map. Let me just zoom in. Okay, so
One's right by the entrance to Ravener Park, where you come out of the bottom of Ravener Park. It's literally opposite that.
Yeah.
And then the footpath goes straight onto the second road.
It looks like it's Greenford Gardens. Yeah.
I'll zoom in.
If I may, Chair, it looks like the tennis club sort of sits in the middle with a footpath accessing it from Greenford Gardens on the north and Ravener Park Road on the south.
Yes.
Thank you, Councillor Shah.
I think
Right.
the added, one of the added pluses as well, that there is on-street parking there. It's not zoned or anything, so the parking either end is great. Not that really people should be travelling by car there, because it will be quite close there. But if they do choose to do so, there is
Right.
on-street parking.
Thank you, Ross. So Councillor Young, we are moving on other item, yeah? Thank you. Sorry.
Okay, so bearing in mind, if following consultation and we come to the decision-making committee decisions on this, the next change which we're proposing is connected in some way to the change that with the tennis club. So we will have increased the size of NQ, which would have taken quite a bit of NS away with the change of the boundary line. And so that will leave a very much smaller NS and to the south NT. Now, if we didn't do anything, we would have Greenford Library serving NS, and we would have the Education Centre on Mansell Road serving NT. Now, these are two fixed stations. We're not dealing with temporaries here. We, as part of the review, we just think that those two, the remainder of NS and NT, can be merged, and electors can go to Greenford Library. One of the obviously the Education Centre, we take it over, and they have various things going on in there educationally on that day. We cause a bit of disruption. There's also some highly confidential records held at that centre, for which we have to provide additional security at the moment on polling day. And obviously, if we don't use the centre will be happy, and we don't have to fund the extra security. And obviously, I didn't want to talk about costs, but there's clearly a cost saving there by merging the two together and going with Greenford Library. So, yeah.
No, Greenford Library.
I think, yeah.
Also, do you?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking, Ross. Although, yeah, you said, well, Education Centre will be quite busy of that day, because the residents on Greenford Road and Windmill Road and other little Stanhope Road, they have to all go to the library to cast their votes. Yeah, that is a better distance for them, particularly for young families and elderly and but disabled people. So we will see what the consultation, the results come back, what people think about it. So
Thank you.
I am a bit really worrying about people might not go to that distance. You know that Greenford Road is quite busy throughout the junction of the crossroads. So it is.
Thank you for your concern, Councillor Deer.
Yeah.
Yes,
I think, yeah, I mean, it is a busy road. There are crossings there. I suspect that the majority of residents do visit the area there anyway as part of their daily. I think I'm not as strongly. This isn't involving any temporary huts, so we're not kind of handcuffed to have to make this change. It's just looking at it as the councillor says, happy for it to, we can put an asterisk next to this one and see what happens at the consultation. And I think if there is a big leaning to keep the status quo, I think that's fair. Because we're not dealing with a temporary hut here. They're 2 fixed stations, so it's kind of a nice to have. I think if it's reasonable, if on balance it's a reasonable change. But also, if you're at the bottom of NT, to the south of NT, and they're not used to going to that area to do shopping or go anywhere near, it may well be a valid point that some electors may not wish to go up there to cross the road. But
thank you, Ross. Councillor Deal, can I just suggest that I understand that we are dealing with the 2 fixed polling stations, so we cannot say like temporary station, one should go, one should remain. The both are proper polling station. So what we suggest that, I think, let's get out that consultation and we will come back on that. Right. Thank you, Councillor. Appreciate your concern. Yes, Ross, what's the next?
Okay, page 30, and this concerns Northolt Mandeville and the Portakabin temporary polling station on Blenheim Road. Got an electorate of just shy of 700, I think 630. So what we're proposing for this, QS is a very small polling district, as you can see. There's not a lot in there. I think I wouldn't want to alter the dynamics of QS. I think it was drawn because it's its own little area there. So I think the proposal is that we would move the polling stations to St Barnabas Church Hall, which is literally just over the boundary line of QS on the eastern side. It also serves polling district MP, but the hall is big enough for us to put both polling stations in there. And again, I think St Barnabas is one of our good polling stations, isn't it? It ticks the boxes for a lot of things. It's very little distance. In fact, you could argue that it's going to be a lot closer to some than the existing temporary.
Thank you, Ross. Any concern, anything about Northolt Mandeville? Now, St Barnabas is a very prominent location, and Church Hall is massive. Church Hall, no doubt about that. So thank you for that. What would be the next?
Okay, page 32. So this is Northfield Ward. So this is the Chiltern Avenue temporary polling place. So we are proposing, I think I did mention earlier, we're proposing to it's also the existing polling place for VS, and also, if approved, ES, which we talked about earlier. So we would request that it's to be considered that we move VR to the Assyrian. So we would have effectively 3 polling stations within the Assyrian Centre. And again, distance-wise, from the existing VR, it's not significant. We don't believe it to be significant.
Yeah, okay. Thank you, Ross. Councillor Shah?
Yeah, thanks, Chair. I mean, certainly this is an extremely small polling district. I know you said sort of 600 or just over 600 voters.
Yeah,
It's
a bit less. But yeah.
sort of give or take, and it's a relatively short move with sort of quite easy access there as well. And you know, as long as we're satisfied, which you seem to be, that there's plenty of room in the Assyrian Centre and the whole, then you know, let's ask the question and see if, you know, if there are very strong objections from there, then we can revisit it. But if not, fine.
Thank you, Councillor Ross.
Yeah, absolutely. Obviously, whenever you put even 2 or 3 stations in a hall, you can't just do it. We've got to put measures in place to make sure it all works well, and we will do that. So we will have additional staff in terms of entry and exits, and clear signage for where to go. And you know, all our staff are excellent, but we'll put our particularly excellent staff into that hall. So yeah, I think I don't envisage any issues.
Well, thank you. Any other contribution in Northfield? No. That's all.
I think, yeah. So yeah, that's it.
Right. Okay. Can I ask you a couple of things to clarification, which I have received inquiry from the members here. Just for another note, like Greenford, Central Greenford, and Perryville, and the other ward where the significant rise in population, for example, Greenford Quay, and like 3,200 new units. So, what's your usual process? How indicators will be working? Then you need to introduce new polling station there. And what is your view on terms of dense population in one particular area?
So we have a team member that's part of their remit is to look at these things. There's lots going on in the borough. We've got Southall as well. We've got the gasworks, and there's other areas. I think, Mark, you're working on something in Acton,
North Acton as well.
So we work with building control because it's, believe it or not, it's not that straightforward to find out. It's easy for houses being built, but it's not easy to find out if it's fit for occupancy or people are in there. So there's a series of flags and data and contacts within the council that we use, and we also actually go out where it's a significant site like this. We go out with an officer and visually inspect and see what's going on in terms of, are people in there. We've got the buildings covered off that they're being built, but we don't put them on the register until people have actually moved in. So that aspect we are across, and we do on a monthly basis do checks to make sure we don't miss any, because it'd be very embarrassing if we missed 1,000 flats. Easy to do mine, but it would be embarrassing if we missed it. In terms of then calculating is the polling station sufficient, etc. Yes, we do. We've got within our election software system, we put in that data, and it then measures that against what we think is appropriate based on the electoral turnout, what we think is going to happen at that station, and is it all going to work okay. So we do monitor that. I think there's a wider thought. I mean, when we've drawn these wards, and I think I'm looking at Councillor Shaw because I think you were heavily involved, that we knew when we drew those wards, and we've got some small we've got a couple of 2-member ones, that it should be under constant review on wards, not just polling districts, because if populations are rising, we could, I think, sorry, I put it a different way. I think we orchestrate it in advance on the understanding that we thought these are going to project to this. And as far as I know at the moment, we're not far off what we envisaged was going to happen. North Acton is a little bit different because I don't think we were aware of that, or I certainly wasn't at that time. So I think the point I'm making, we may need to look to possibly do something with the ward lines in the future if there are significant, when I say significant, because what you want to look at really, a ballpark is between 10 and 12,000 for a ward. If you start to get an influx of 4,000 more over a term of 3 or 4 years, then we need to look at, I think, changing the ward boundaries, which we can do. The council can do it themselves, but I don't think we're at that position at the moment. But I think in time, that would be the issue in terms of the increasing population, and it's in pockets. It's not spread. It seems to be in pockets. But I think hopefully I've answered your question. In terms of monitoring it, yes, we are monitoring it, and so it would be flagged. But we're not going to get to polling day and suddenly find we've got a queue going all the way down the road because we didn't realise that 1,500 people had moved in that year and that polling station couldn't accommodate it. We would be across that.
Thank you, Ross. It's a satisfactory answer. Yeah. So if there is no other questions, the committee is agreed to on their recommendation and going out for consultation. Thank you so much. So if there is no other question, we are agreed on that, Ross. So carry on the work you are doing it. So if there is no other question, the next meeting will be on 16th of October, and is it 16th of October? Yeah, right. Thank you. And so thanks for your all contribution this evening. Thank you, Ross. Thank you, Mark, for your presentation. So this is the end of the meeting. Thank you.